Hello, this is Kurokami, and this is my first review. This is of the Junji Ito collection, which recently came out. The first episode's out, and this is what this recording is on. And just to let you know right here ahead of time, spoiler warning is in effect, so I'm going to go over the entire episode. So if you haven't seen it, you might want to leave now. But okay, starting as is. So, it's really awesome that they have finally did an anime of Junji Ito's work. In the past, they've done Gyo and they put that in OVA format, but that was not very good at all because there was a lot of CG used and they really changed the story, which was just overall terrible. And they've also done the Tomie series as a series of movies, and those were live action, and they were actually really good. And they also did Uzumaki. They did a movie before it was even over, and yeah, it wasn't very good at all. But anyway, on to what the actual episode was. So this is episode 1 of the Junji Ito collection. So there's 2 stories within this one, so I'm thinking that it's going to be like that every episode, perhaps, because a lot of his stories are short, like around like 20, 30 pages. But the first one was Soichi's Selfish Curse, and that was the manga equivalent of 63 pages. And then the second one was Hello Dollies, and that was only 6 pages. So assuming what happened was the first story was not enough to make the full episode, so they added the second chapter in there just to fill up the time. So anyway, so first off is the Soichi's Selfish Curse, and before I actually talk about the episode, I want to say I'm very impressed with the anime so far. The art was very good, it was well done, and it followed the manga almost to the T. So I did like that. That was very good. Because with something like this, it was either they're going to completely fail or they were going to do really good. And even though it was good, it wasn't very scary because like the music that was used, and overall this wasn't a really scary story. And to be honest, it was not one of Junji Ito's best, at least in my opinion, but it was still nonetheless pretty good. Okay, so the first story, Soichi's Selfish Curse, it pretty much follows a boy named Soichi, and he's kind of mentally disturbed. He's the only person in his class that looks very creepy. Everyone else looks normal, but he looks like a creep. And he has a special habit of cursing people. And so anyone he finds to be doing something wrong or not being good, or he feels like they deserve something, he'll curse them, not in deadly ways, but in just ways to really like mess with them. Like the first person he curses, he essentially just stabs a bunch of nails into a doll, and that turns into just a lot of stomach pain for the other boy. I think he was hospitalized, but he definitely was not dead. And his second victim, he decides to make them hibernate. So they end up getting like buried in the ground, but he ends up getting found, which actually really annoys Soichi. And then he goes on to his third victim. And what he gets his third victim to do is he gets them to get a stomach ache in school, so they go into the bathroom. And when they lock themselves in the stall, he stops and they're like, "Oh, my stomach, it doesn't hurt anymore." But then he looks up and like giant spider legs come up over the bathroom stall and like spray him with webbing, which ends up it was actually toilet paper. He was hallucinating, so he was hospitalized too, but again, he did not die. And then finally, his last victim, instead of actually doing a curse, he decides get him into a park at night, and he puts on this really weird like costume with stilts, and he like runs out, and the dude's like runs, and then they run into the pine woods, and pretty much it's the same place where Soichi was doing all of his other cursing with the dolls, and the owner of that land has been fed up because he's like, they're destroying my woods. So he actually put a bear trap, which is like, for a person, that's obviously not cool. And Soichi steps on it with the stilts of the costume, and it breaks the stilts, and he falls over, and pretty much now he's stuck in there, and the boy he was scared and ran off. And finally, the old man comes back, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna kill you." He even throws an axe at him. And luckily, the Soichi's older brother ends up saving him, and they go back home. And he, at the beginning of the chapter, found a frog, and he's been keeping it as a pet, but this guy is kind of mentally unstable, so he didn't put any holes in it, he doesn't feed it, he's had it in a little metal container with water. And after getting chewed out by his parents because of what he did, he ignores them and goes to his room. And this is especially where it ended, where it wasn't very good. But this is not the anime's fault. This is actually Junji Ito's fault. This is because they followed it pretty much to the T. He opens up the container and it's just a rotting dead frog, and that's the end. So pretty much the whole chapter was Soichi cursing all these people. And then at the end, okay, so the frog kind of died. It was kind of anticlimactic. It's Junji Ito did not know how he wanted it to end it, so he just kind of ended it like that. And like I said, it's 63 pages, so it's a very long chapter compared to a lot of stories he actually does do. So, yeah, that's why I kind of felt like it wasn't the best. I love Junji Ito to death, but it's just not one of his better stories. And since that did not fill up the full time frame, they added in Hello Dollies, which like I said before, was only 6 pages. And this story, it was only on the anime for a couple seconds. And yeah, but pretty much what it was is apparently 30% of the world's kids are suffered by this, what would they call it? It was early onset dolls disease. And what it does is it turns kids into dolls. And every time it does that, what parents will do is they'll burn the doll. And those parents did not want to burn the doll. They're like, no, this is our daughter, we'll keep her. And unfortunately, the doll keeps morphing, and then at the end it morphs into this really nasty looking monster, is the only way I can describe it. And that one was really cool, but again, it was really short, so it's there wasn't much build up to it. But they captured the drawing pretty good, though. It wasn't amazing, but it wasn't bad either. So overall, the episode was really cool. I can't wait to see what else that they do, because they already kind of show some of the stories that they're going to be doing, but I don't know all of them. So yeah, it had a really good feel to it. The content-wise, it wasn't the best, but it was overall a very solid piece, and they actually did a good job at portraying Junji Ito's work, and I'm so happy about that, because they're so easy to mess this up, because I've always thought about it in the past, making an anime when some of Junji Ito's work, kind of like that OVA that I talked about. And finally is the opening and endings, because I guess I should talk about that. The opening it wasn't bad. I mean, the song I'm not crazy for, but it showed a lot of his pictures in a very artsy way, as you can probably find easily. But yeah, it was okay. And then the ending, it kind of just showed the woods, and then it actually showed Soichi and then the doll poking out of the trees every so often, which is kind of funny. So I'm assuming that's going to be changed up every episode. So we'll just have to wait and see. But anyway, yeah, this has been my review on the first Junji Ito collection episode. If you like, please thumbs up, subscribe, leave a comment what you think's good, bad, or anything I can improve. And this is Kurokami signing off.